Welcome back. Let's review the answers to the practice exercises before we move on to new information. The answers to practice 1. Paragraph 1, the first question is A, because answers B, C, and D are too narrow. Number 2, the answer is D. The other 3 answers are too narrow. In paragraph 2, the answer to question 1 is B. Answers A, C, and D are mentioned in the paragraph, but they're not developed. And number 2 is C. The other 3 are too narrow. In paragraph 3, the answer to question 1 is C. Answer A is too broad, B is too narrow, and answer D is not in the passage at all. And then number 2, the answer is D. The other 3 answers are too narrow. Now let's look at practice 2. The answer to paragraph 1 is C. Answers A and B are too broad, and answer D is too narrow. Paragraph 2, the answer is again C, because answers A, B, and D are not supported in the passage. And last one, paragraph 3, the answer is D. In number 3, the answer A is too narrow, and answers B and C are not supported in the passage. If you have questions about these practice exercises, we will, of course, talk about them in class tomorrow. Let's move on. When you read, you often have to infer, which means figure out on your own, the author's unstated main idea. The implied main idea you come up with should cover all or most of the details in the paragraph. And here's some hints for identifying the topic and main idea. First, remember to look for repeated words. If a word is repeated many times, it's a very important word. It's probably the topic. And then, marks major supporting details. Major details are often signaled by addition words, and these are those addition words we've talked about before. 1, first, second, third, to begin with, for one thing, other, another, also, in addition, next, moreover, further, furthermore, last, and finally. Let's read one together. Nonverbal messages are more emotionally powerful than verbal ones. Nonverbal behaviors tell people about our emotional state. When we want to convey how we feel about someone, language often fails us. Nonverbal messages are also more universal than verbal ones. Members of different linguistic groups must spend a lot of time and effort to learn each other's verbal codes, but they can communicate instantly by smiling or wrinkling their faces in disgust. Some researchers have shown a number of emotions to be expressed in the same way by members of different cultural groups. Last, nonverbal messages are more continuous and natural than spoken language. Because gestures and body movements flow into one another without obvious beginnings and endings, they seem to be a more natural part of our existence than words. So, we need to find the topic. To do that, we want to look for repeated words. So think about, what words do you keep seeing here? And nonverbal messages is the one that's repeated over and over. So our topic is nonverbal messages. Now, what is the implied main idea of the paragraph? So what about nonverbal messages? What we can do is we can look at those supporting details and see what we learn from them. Okay? So let's look first at the top. Our first sentence, nonverbal messages are more emotionally powerful than verbal ones. Our second idea, we have that addition word also. Nonverbal messages are also more universal than verbal ones. And then our third point is, last, nonverbal messages are more continuous and natural than spoken language. So we have 3 supporting points that are comparing nonverbal messages with verbal ones. All 3 of them are actually about how nonverbal messages have advantages over verbal ones. So that is our implied main idea. Okay, I would like to stop again and have you do practice 3 on pages 151 to 153. When you're finished, you can come back and we will finish the chapter.